Speedway Tavern. Speedway Tavern. Speedway Tavern.
Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. What's the news today? Have a drink, have your say. All opinions here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Webby, GA, and Matt are here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Come and have your say.
Hello Taverners, welcome to the Speedway Tavern. On the show tonight we have got Matt Buck,
Good evening.
Mr. Noisy Webby Brown,
Good evening.
and myself, Michael Harris, GA, or you, shut up.
Jack Gustavs.
Yes.
Which ride are you sacking this week, bud?
Oh God, yeah, I know. we will come on to all of that, and
Yeah.
do you know what I've got to say? I feel so sorry for I even forgot his name. That's how good it is. But you know, all connected with Birmingham Speedway that we've had to put this year. Unfair criticism, I think, when all they've ever done is try to replace riders and clean going. Nearly got it, and then we have that other injury. And anyway, well, let's. I don't want to get. Yeah, some of you might not have heard my little Only in Speedway before. So basically what I did was just read out the lineup for the championship shindig at Sheffield on Sunday, and posited the idea that could be the best lineup.
It's a very
ever.
strong lineup, isn't it? So
Isn't it
it's
just?
difficult to pick a winner out of that.
They can pick a few losers perhaps,
Yeah.
but and I also sort of tongue-in-cheek said, could this be a better, more attractive, the Premiership?
I think it depends who turns up for the
Exactly.
Premiership one, doesn't it?
It
Because
does,
it's
yeah.
shame really, because it always used to be one of the most,
It
it
was-
was
it was-
to the season.
If you
But,
didn't win the World Championship, you were going to try and get that one, weren't you?
Yeah.
It was almost as big even in the fans' eyes at that time. I think.
yeah, that's right. So
But this looks a really good lineup, and I don't know what the weather situation. Fingers crossed.
yeah,
I might even go for it. I might even spend some hard-earned. It doesn't happen a lot. So yeah, I mean, just in case you didn't hear, it's Chris Harris, Nick Morris, Sam Masters, Jai Etheridge, Edward Kennett, Jake Allen, Eric Chris, Scott Nichols, Ryan Douglas, Steve Worrell, Craig Cook, Richard Lawson, the winner Adam Ellis, Charles Wright, Danny King, and Rasmus Jensen. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
yeah, she did, yes.
Well, I know I say that tongue in cheek, but there is nobody there that he hasn't been.
On his day,
So,
he's capable of beating all of those rides.
So,
There's no
yeah,
doubt
which
about
is
that.
like-
So.
But who would you pick out of that? I've got my idea. I think.
It's so difficult to call, isn't it? I mean, Adam Ellis. I think if Adam Ellis was in the form that he would been in before he got
Before
injured,
he got
I would
injured,
have probably
possibly.
fancied him as one of the favourites. To be honest,
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it'd be nice obviously if he did win it, because it would be a bit of a bring a bit of
Joy and sunshine
happiness
to
back
Birmingham.
to Perry
yeah.
Barr, because it's been it's been a difficult season. Not through the fault of the promotion. There's been some very good racing this season,
There's been some great
but
seasons,
just unfortunately, you get the impression really for the Brummies that the season probably needs to end now, just to draw breath and.
I'm not sure it hasn't, but no, I can't say that because we got who we got next week. It'll come into my head. Scunthorpe, isn't
That's
it?
right.
It'll be a good meeting.
Yep.
And that's what we got. It'll be a good meeting. There'll be good racing as always. I think Danny King. It's home track advantage, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
And
he's had a decent season. He rode really well in the British final a few weeks
Exactly.
ago. So,
Be interesting to see how Charles Wright goes.
well, I mean, obviously it's going to be a nice little warm, obviously with
Cardiff coming up, yes.
fast approaching.
Yeah. Still tickets available, Cardiff apparently.
Yeah, there are. Yeah,
So, I
our
might-
tickets have been posted this week, I think. So they'll be arriving in the next few days, hopefully. So looking
well,
forward to it.
Yeah, but I might even spend some more money and go myself. I've never been. So.
Definitely worth going. It's something that you don't really get the full feeling of it when you're watching it on the TV as you would do when you're there live. So
Ben T-Boy, Clifton, just to let you know, yes, we are going to talk about that in a moment. No clues. No clues. We will, yeah, we absolutely, that's one of the things we want to talk about tonight. I just want to get this out, not out of the way, that's the wrong phrase. I just want to put this out there. So the sport is full of riders that go on and achieve great things. They win things. They become heat leaders. They become, favourites with fans and so on. But we should also remember those that don't quite make it, don't quite get over that hump of becoming one of the best or even one of the second best. Because those people keep the sport alive. Yeah. Without them, you can't fill your team up and so on. So I'd just like to talk about Mike Lawrence. He's a former Birmingham, Coventry and Leicester second halfer. Mike Lawrence passed away on Thursday the 22nd of August. He was 85 and he'd been admitted to hospital after a fall at his Edgbaston home and died after a sudden deterioration in his health. Mike's love affair with Speedway began with the post-war resumption of the sport at Perry Bar in 1946. You remember it, don't you? And realised his lifelong ambition on the 29th of September 1956 when he made his one and only appearance in the Brummies team for the away match at Bellevue, where he scored 2+1 from his 2 rides. Mike never lost his enthusiasm for the sport and rarely missed a meeting at both Monmouth Green and Perry Bar. He was in the public gallery wearing his yellow and red colours at Birmingham's Council House when the city planners threw out Tony Moll's first application to bring Speedway back to Perry Bar in 2005. And he was back a year later to rejoice with us when the decision was reversed, having spent the previous 12 months lobbying the city's Director of Leisure, who happened to be one of his neighbours. Yeah. His funeral will take place on Monday, September the 9th at Lodge Hill Crematorium, Wheelie Park, Sally Oak B295AA. We can put that address out for anybody that wants it. Yep. At 3:15, all Speedway enthusiasts will be welcome. So there you go.
Yeah, sad news. I met Mike quite a few times because, as I say, he was a regular both at Monmore and Perry Bar, and lovely Speedway. Obviously, he had was a second halfer for a long time. Local boy as well. So yeah, sad news. Rest in peace, Mike.
Absolutely. Right, we should go back to Ben T-Boy Clifton's little bit higher than that. Sorry,
you just waited for it, don't you?
I actually get people to do it on purpose now.
Who had 9 minutes past 8 in sleep, Steve?
I'm not actually that popular, the truth be known. Evening, lads. Can we have a shout out for Drew Kemp and Anders Rowe, who won the National League pairs? Anders Rowe, is that the guy that hasn't got a job?
Yeah, that's right. So.
I'm never going to live that down. Anders Rowe, who won the National League pairs for the Kent Kings at Overton Sunday in glorious weather. The attendance was well over 600, with Kent having the biggest showing other than Sheffield. So yeah, well done to Drew Kemp and Anders Rowe.
Yeah, they've had a good season. So,
not bad.
They're on position.
And also any exclusives Anders team. Now, some of you will notice, I should mention this, that our normal salubrious surroundings are no longer with us. Yeah. We've decided.
I thought it was because we didn't pay the rent. So.
Might be, actually. We've decided to ditch the old green screen, and we're actually, exciting news, going to have a proper set built.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to that.
It really means that I can concentrate more on the broadcast quality,
which
rather than fiddling about with that thing.
Given today's little debacle, we obviously need.
I think people might notice that the sound quality is a lot better now, so please tell me it is. Thank you. Tomo said, you've never been to Cardiff?
I have never been to Cardiff, I know. I'm not...
Not for anything?
Well, I've been to Cardiff on the train. I haven't been to Millennium Stadium.
Okay.
I've seen the Millennium Stadium.
It's a nice stadium.
Yeah, I can tell. Let me sort of nail my colours to the mast a little bit here. I'm not a great fan of GPs. I'm not sure that they're not detrimental to the sport the way that they are. I think the old World Final was a very exciting format. and wasn't detrimental to the team sport aspect of it, whereas I think this tends to take precedent, particularly in riders' eyes, over the team sport. They're not complementing each other as such. And I've never been a great fan of individual meetings anyway. I much prefer my team sport. However, it is something I should go and see. I agree. Anthony Bailey, the championship lineup is so strong that is what's wrong with the league. Riders with premiership averages over 6.5 to 7 should not be allowed to ride in the championship. It's the only way to keep the league sustainable. Thoughts?
I think there probably are one or two riders in the championship that really shouldn't be in that league. Same as I think there's one or two riders in the national league that shouldn't really be in it. I guess the argument for the riders, of course, though, is that they want the extra meetings.
There's not enough meetings, is there?
In the top flight. So maybe in a lot of ways it's enforced upon them to get the extra meetings by.
It is a difficult one.
It
is a difficult one because of that very reason. But I do have sympathy with the opinion that it's sort of stagnating people's movement upwards.
Yeah.
I think if they continue with the plan that they've had, which is fiddling with the conversion rate between the top and the second to make it a little bit more difficult to sign those top riders because their averages become bigger. Hopefully it will become self-correcting, but let's be honest, the BSPA haven't got a great record of following through on long-term plans, so we'll watch that one with interest, I think. Michael, if you go to Cardiff, you really must, even if you're not a fan of GPs, take it in for the event. I'll buy you a couple of cold ones. I'm going.
Go on then.
We're all going?
We're all going, yeah.
Anything for a free beer?
I may well go. I may well turn up. Yeah.
No, the whole event really is fantastic right from the day. So many people, of course, converging from across the country. To watch the meeting. And from Europe as well. Obviously, it's always a very, very large and very vocal contingent of Poles always arrive at Cardiff. So.
Yeah, well, it's
just a great day, to be honest. I mean, it's
and it's pretty affordable, isn't it, as far as the event itself is concerned?
I mean, it's 19 years since the very first one in 2001.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, me and my dad have been to every single one. It's never misses a beat. It's still a fantastic experience when you walk
the track
out.
Itself has got
when
better,
you walk,
hasn't it?
when you walk out into the stadium and you just see this this magnificent arena. With a speedway track.
With a speedway track in the middle of it.
It still feels a little bit strange, to be fair, but they have got the track right better in the last few years. I mean, I've been to Cardiff when there's been some incredibly dangerous tracks there, and you've just been waiting for somebody to, hit a rut and cartwheel off the track. But no, the track has got better in the last few seasons. There's no doubt about that. And
well, all of the indoor tracks haven't they?
Yeah.
So
I have to say, it mystifies me why people call them man-made tracks, because they're all man-made.
They're all man-made, yeah. Has anybody seen a speedway track in its natural environment, made by nature? I don't know. We should say, how do people join in?
Okay, so you can find us on Facebook. Just search for UK Speedway Tavern. You can also go to www.srbmedia.co.uk. Now, for a special treat, if you do go there, you can actually see us as well.
Yes. That's a special treat.
Special treat.
It's certainly something. So there's a little message there of Craig Smee. Can you press the Seymour for me, please? Thank you very much. Would just like to mention Craig Cook after what happened on Monday. This is Craig Smee on the show box. Now, I like Cook as a rider, and he's becoming a bit of a pantomime villain recently. Bewley clipped the fence in the previous race, and the referee put the 2 minutes on, unaware that the fence needed repairing. Both Cook and Lambert went to the tapes doing gardening work. Red lights came on, and the start marshal asked both riders to leave the track. Lambert ignored the marshal until red flagged. Cook continued to ignore start marshal and clerk of the course on several occasions. Then the clerk of the course pulled the cutout lead out of the bike to a big cheer. Was expecting a not ha-ha.
Riot.
Oh, a riot. Is that what? Oh, okay.
Ha ha.
With his appeal coming up, it could be taken into consideration. Can you see him getting a longer ban, or maybe a ban for start of next season?
I would suggest. I mean, I think we've discussed this before, haven't we? I don't think Craig Cook was completely to blame for what happened.
No, we
at
yeah,
Eastbourne,
no, we said that.
Possibly,
yeah.
I think you could argue maybe it needs to keep his nose clean a little bit with this hanging over him. You know, he's a bit of a Marmite. He's a bit of a Marmite fella, to be fair. You know, a lot of people don't like him. You know, I mean, I have to say, I've got to confess, I think people who know me know that I'm not Craig Cook's biggest fan. Although I respect him as a rider. But yeah, it's a shame. Although, you know, I suppose the old adage is, you know, controversial publicity is good for Speedway. As long as it doesn't step over the
yeah. I mean,
the line.
I haven't seen whether this,
to be honest,
publicity has stepped
yeah.
over. It has stepped over into.
To be honest,
the
that's
main
the first
press.
time I've seen it since I read that message there from Craig. So I hadn't heard that before. To be
Yeah,
honest.
no, so yeah.
So
I have, that is the
really,
first I've
if there's
heard
any
of it.
footage of it, I don't know. But I mean, without seeing it on, you know,
Very difficult to comment, but the actual question was, can we see him getting a longer ban, or maybe a ban for the start of next season? A lot depends on when that. We don't know what the appeal has been granted on. What is the new evidence, or we don't know. So a lot would depend on that. We had heard that two of the other riders involved had put in an appeal, but their appeal wasn't granted.
right?
I don't know. Again, I don't know whether that's true. This is going on what people have told us, and we all know what Speedway's like, hotbed of gossip. So, I think it's an incredible gamble on his part.
Mm-hmm.
He might lose out, and he could conceivably lose out on the playoffs if it gets to that, which. With Glasgow, obviously it will, and that is a gamble. I mean, I could have to go into that meeting without Craig Cook.
Which would substantially weaken a team that are probably favourites at the moment.
I would make them favourites at the moment. If they know something that we don't know, like when the appeal is, maybe it would be for the start of the next season. It all depends on what comes out in the hearing, doesn't
Yeah.
it? But my guess is if it was upheld, that they would probably add a little bit to it, to the ban. That's generally what happens. So it just depends on the timing and whether he wins the case or not, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically what we've told you is we don't know. After all,
Waffle on for a bit and help people, you know.
it's difficult. I mean, I don't like. We saw. All we done is seen what we saw, like everybody else. We've seen those videos, and you know, there was nothing about anything in that video that was clever.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that should hold their hand up and take some share of the blame for that incident. Craig Cook being one of them. Yeah, we'll have to see. Simon Corbett says Cardiff is a good event. Racing usually poor. Lots of empty seats, never half full.
I think the racing of the last two Cardiffs has been a lot better, to be fair.
Well, we have seen good. I mean, 2007 when Chris Harris won, it was good racing that night. Most of it from Chris Harris, we have to say.
Yeah. Should say as well about the. I mean, a lot of the seats at the top are sort of, you know, never full. But in fairness, you're never going to fill a stadium like that with the best will in the world. Plus, of course, you got most of the bottom row, of course, is corned off because it's just simply too close to the track.
Too close to the track, yeah.
So.
The noise, I remember reading an article from someone that he was some sort of manager at Cardiff, and he said the noisiest event by far from a fan's perspective, not just from the bikes, from the noise that the crowd makes. He said was the GP.
Yeah, I can remember talking to one of the stewards there. It's going to be about 5 or 6 years ago, and he said that he's worked at that stadium since it was built or reopened in '99, I think it was, and he said that, you know, the Cardiff GP is his favourite event because there's never any aggro. there's everyone's really friendly and so excited, and he just it's the one event of the season that he really enjoys being a steward at. So
Duncan Pemberton, thank you very much. He's going to take a picture of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to put on the fireplace to keep the grandkids away from it. It's not nice, is it?
probably true though. Isn't
Well,
it?
yeah, well, it has got that going for it. Yeah. So we've mentioned how to take part in tonight's show. Whatever you guys come up with is what we will talk about.
Yeah.
There are some matches going on tonight.
Just to point out as well, we are going to do the National League tonight, but we're not going to include the meeting tonight because obviously it's already started. So
I might have got something there to that.
yeah, so
Bellevue 31, Cradley 11 currently. Bellevue are very strong tonight. I think they've been strong in that league through the whole season, really, by and large. Okay, Drew Kemp by Sheffield for doubling his average this season. Oh, dropped by Sheffield.
Yeah. Dropped by Sheffield.
For doubling his average. That makes no sense.
that doesn't make any sense to be honest.
At all.
Mm.
Need to know more. So, there's been a few meetings over the past week. Has anything been happening Wolverhampton's way?
Yeah, 20-point win against Poole on Monday. So certainly wasn't expecting that as we as Wolves continue their sort of charge, if you like.
That might help you.
Charge for the playoffs. I mean, it's interesting at the moment looking at the that's what I mean. Swindon, obviously, at the moment, I think they're the form team. I mean, that was a real thumping win they had against Ipswich on Monday.
Who's not a bad team, are they?
No, that's right. Although I wonder whether Ipswich have maybe starting to run out of steam a little bit. But I think Swindon, Poole, and Ipswich now they look set for the top four. The vulnerable side for me are Bellevue, and that's the side the Wolves have got to try and target. I mean, there's 3 points in it at the moment. Bellevue on 38, Wolves on 35. Wolves with 2 matches in hand as well. So it's going to go all the way, I think, right to the end of the season. But with Kingsley at home, is Wolves' last match of the season. That's on Monday, and then the trips to Poole and Peterborough.
Need to get something at Peterborough.
Yeah, I think the Peterborough match hasn't been arranged yet, so presumably that'll be arranged before the
cut-off.
That'd
be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but
Birmingham's been there before.
But good night on Monday. Good crowd. Always is a good crowd for a bank holiday meeting, and a great result for our standing team manager Samuel Malenko, of course, stepping in with Peter Adams unavailable. So,
is he taking the credit for it? Yes. Okay.
Well. Yeah, I mean, obviously Sam's a legend at Wolves, so always going to be a popular move. And but it was a good night, and Wolves maybe peaking at getting back into form, but just the right time.
It is going to make a very interesting run up between Wolverhampton and Swindon for that last spot.
Bellevue, Swindon, I think are there. So on 39.
So that sort of brings the question: is who do you think's favourite to win the damn thing at the moment?
At the moment, I'd say Swindon because of the form they're in. Poole. You would have said Poole. I would have said Poole. I would have said Poole up until about the end of June. I mean, if you go back in further, at the end of May, everyone was saying Bellevue, but they sort of
it's been that sort of season, hasn't it? Yeah,
it's been I think Bellevue sort of a bit rocky at the moment. So, but who knows? It's going to be tight though. It could go all the way to the end, and it's not unknown, of course, for the team that sneaks into the playoffs at the end to go on and win it. I mean, Coventry did it, of course, famously in. Yeah, let's not go into. Let's not go down that route, because you're going to start talking about Paul. I could have mentioned it earlier, but I decided not to. So. Could you give me Seymour for Craig Smig? And he likes to write lots, doesn't he? Which we're not complaining about, by the way. So Craig wants to know, what do you make of transfers ahead of the playoffs? I think it shouldn't be allowed unless there's injuries, etc. Adrian Smith, CEO of Bellevue, mentioned in his programme Nights from Monday how he likes the fixed race nights, but it restricts the pool of riders available to guest. He mentioned the idea of having maybe squad selections of 8 to 9 man teams, with riders possibly rotating each week or based on performance. Would restrict the need for transfers, maybe only have 2 transfer windows each season going forward.
wow, there's a lot to pick out of that one.
Yeah.
I like. You're going to have to leave it up because I'm going to forget what he said. I like the idea that there is a problem, isn't there? There's not enough riders to go around.
Simply not. That's the problem. So
I think it's a great idea. The only way you're going to get it to work is by dropping the points limit. I would suggest, and it's probably going to encourage that. Would then probably encourage more doubling up rather than less, which is something we all would like to see the back of. I think. I think it's a great goal to have. I think it'd be a great way to go. I think having squads would be good, but how do you do it? Which riders? Riders are going to want to ride. They're self-employed in this sport.
Yeah.
They don't get unless there's some sort of retainer, but then that costs more.
I think the squad system probably in the end they will move towards that. As much as I love the idea of having just a straight board 1 to 7, it's not workable anymore, unfortunately.
How many teams at this point in the season have got a 1 to 7? But how many 1 to 7s has Birmingham had this year? About
3,
5, 6? I don't know. It's been a lot. So some of them have only lasted a week. And that's, by the way, not a criticism. It's just the way it's gone.
Yeah.
That's the biggest bane of this sport. People say that the biggest bane of the sport is rain. I don't think it is. I think injuries is the biggest bane of this sport.
Yeah.
Because it requires you to have guests. It requires you to have ride replacement. It requires you to have these artificial ways of making your team work. And when you haven't got enough riders to go round, it's very difficult to sign replacements. So, yeah, it would be great. It's a great thing to work towards, and perhaps that's what they should be doing, and stating that's what they're doing.
Well, we had Lawrence Rogers on a few weeks ago, and I thought he didn't really see that having squad systems would work in this country. So, but I suppose different priorities are going to have different opinions. Some would be in favour of it, some less so. It's interesting that Matt Ford now seems to be in favour of a one big league.
Yeah.
So
that would possibly improve the situation as far as you can't double up, obviously, because you're in the same league.
But I don't think there's enough riders.
It's whether there's enough riders. I think the limit would have to come down, wouldn't it?
Well, I think there's all sorts of issues with it. The other thing as well is that you're going to get more meetings towards the end of the season that are going to be not really going to have any impact on the league, apart from maybe swapping a couple of places lower down the table. So.
Yeah, and that's a bit of a problem as well, unless you have some sort of situation whereby you split the league in two, and then you have, towards the end of the season, and then you say the ones at the bottom have their own sort of knockout cup, and the ones at the top have their own sort of knockout cup or a qualifying period. And if you're under the certain level, you then become a second division for half a season or something. That might.
The Premiership obviously has to be looked at, because 7 teams is not sustainable, and you wonder whether there's question marks over Peterborough's future. It's been an absolutely disastrous season.
Somebody last week said it was an embarrassment.
Yeah.
As a Birmingham fan, it's nice to know that somebody's had a worse season than you, but I actually don't see it that way as having a bad season. I've looked at quite a lot of positives at Birmingham this year, with good racing.
I've been to most of the matches at Birmingham this season, and by and large I've enjoyed the racing a lot.
And the influx of new people that have been slowly trickling in. A lot of good things.
Particularly younger people as well. So.
That's a good topic to talk
Roscoe.
about. Yes, Roscoe.
Has left the building.
He has left the building. Was he pushed or did he jump? I guess is one of the questions.
I think I don't think it's any secret that the relationship between him and Ty wasn't fantastic, and I think, to be honest, it was probably a case of this town's not big enough for both of us. Who's going to be the next GP manager? I suppose logically the best one would be Pete Adams, but I don't Pete's never really shown any interest in being the national manager, and I don't know whether he would now.
Would he maybe the way the setup is now, where a lot of the pressure is taken off the manager? Maybe that would.
Well, I think I remember reading an interview with Pete about 10 years ago, and he said something along the lines of, if it was just a case of turning up and filling the programme in, he'd be quite happy. He probably would have taken it, but because it was at that stage, it was very, very heavily involved. Not just during World Cup events, but watching other riders, having to travel around the country to watch other clubs. I mean, Pete Adams, you got to remember, Pete's got his own business.
Of course.
Still, very hands-on in the business as well. He does a lot of travelling around the country, plus fitting in his commitments at Wolves. So I don't know whether he would want to take that on.
It's interesting to know. What about Rob Lyons, who's no longer at King's Lynn, of course?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, Rob had it before, didn't they? So,
but it's a different situation now, isn't it?
I mean, Rob Lyons, to be fair, stepped down because he felt that he wasn't being listened to. So whether the situation there has changed now,
that would be an interesting one, wouldn't it?
I mean, the only other one you would go for from a successful point of view would be Neil Middleditch, but he's already done the job twice. I don't think you'd want to sort of go back for a third spell, if you like.
It's almost down to who's going to put the hand up and say, I'll do it.
Yeah.
A little bit. Somebody's come up with the interesting theory, Anthony Bailey, that it's going to be tight as a rider
that
manager.
seems to be a bit of a curved ball, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think I'm not so sure I'd be in favour of that, to be honest. I think I'd rather.
Well, I don't think that'll BSPA would let it happen. It's traditionally somebody that's a BSPA appointment, isn't it?
I'd rather the rider sort of concentrated on the racing rather than worrying about making.
Now that's what Craig Smee has put up there. That's an interesting one.
Calvin Tatum.
That's an interesting one, isn't it?
Well, to be fair to Calvin Tatum, he does. He knows his Speedway.
Yep, and he's watching Speedway all the time, everywhere, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's got a lot of good technical knowledge of the sport. So, of course, it would be obviously giving up his media career, I suppose, would be the thing for Calvin Tatum. But
So looking at that as a curveball, there are other riders out there that could possibly take up the role. Who?
I've seen Chris Louis mentioned along the lines. I mean,
That'd be quite.
I've got a lot of respect for Chris Louis. I think he's done.
We know it's not going to be Michael Lee.
Yeah, I think we can take that one. I think we can take that now. So
I mean that's another way of going, isn't it? Having an ex-rider rather than necessarily a promoter. Given that you've got all the backroom team now, what does the team manager do anyway? Picks the team and
fills his programme in.
Yeah, fills his programme in. Well, I mean, there is a little bit more to it than that, because they've got to decide between, do we go with who's going to be the under 21 and how many rides do they take and how that all works out as well.
Well, I've seen some people mention Neil Vatcher, but I think Neil Vatcher should stay doing what he's doing because he's doing a damn good job at it.
Yeah. And Webby seems to be repairing the set as we're
making adjustments.
Walking around with a screwdriver.
I've actually been here all day. I haven't moved from here, trying to get things right.
I wondered what that pool was under your feet.
And I just need a few minor adjustments.
While we have a sort of quiet.
So if the set goes down, we know who to blame then. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sorry, I thought there's more stuff going on. We should talk about that. We have spoke about it before, Stephen Skinner. Too many young riders quitting. I mean, we've just had Jordan Jenkins,
obviously, yeah. So
it has been a theme this year.
Zach Weitnick, of course.
I mean, it's been a real theme of under 21s saying they've got to take time out for sport, or they're packing up, or whatever.
I wonder whether a lot of pressure's put on some of these younger riders. I mean, Zach Weitnick being the classic example, of course, made such a big impression when he first joined Birmingham in 2015. I think everybody expected big things of him in 2016. Didn't really.
Here's a controversial that I read this week. Some sympathy, which is that with the advent of social media, these riders, particularly the younger riders who are brought up on using Instagram, whatever else is, the criticism that they read about themselves is scathing, is got to make you. Could that be part of the reason? Could that be a big do we as fans have responsibility for that? I'm thinking about Zach Vitanek in particular now, because I read a lot of unfair criticism.
I think there's a case for that. It's very easy to criticise someone on the keyboard, and it's not unknown for it to happen. I've seen it happen to plenty of riders. You know, Chris Harris has been he's taken horrific abuse on social media, particularly after the Speedway Nations.
But Chris Harris, of course, as you spoke to him, and he was, don't listen to it, because he's, how old is he now? He's
37.
So, you know, you react to these things.
Sorry if I've got that wrong, Bomber. I've had a couple of years on.
It's still doesn't beat my faux pas with Andrews Rowe, so don't worry. You know, you get to a certain age where actually don't care. You know, you're confident in yourself, but as a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, 18, 19, 20, these things have much greater impact.
I think someone like Zach Vitanek, you know, is a good example of that, because Zach always came across to me as a rider, if things weren't going very well, his head dropped quite quickly.
Well, we saw that in the pits a few times this year.
Yeah, he just looked like he
went into his shell, basically.
That's it. So, I mean, I don't know how much media management.
Well, so that was my next point. That's what I was going to come on to, really, because after having said that as fans we should take some responsibility, social media is not going to go away. And this instant criticism, this instant view, this instant judgment is not going to go away. So surely there needs to be more, for want of a better, training of riders of how to deal that side of social media. Obviously, the best way of dealing with it is just don't look at it. I would imagine, if I was a young, hard to believe. I would imagine that it's difficult in this day and age not to be part of. I mean, I'm thinking of my own two lads. They're always on WhatsApp on things I probably don't know about now. Talking to friends, communicating with. So it's very difficult not to.
It's natural at the end of the day. I mean, if you're a celebrity, if you like, on social media, see somebody, it's going to hurt. Of course, you wouldn't be human if you didn't.
So that there needs to be some sort of training, do you think, in how to deal with that? Because it's become a thing. This year in particular, it's become a thing, and we're losing good young riders that, you know, a couple of seasons ago we were saying, this rider and that rider and Zach Vitanek and such, they're going to be so good for the future.
I think that's part of the problem.
That's a pressure as well.
Too much expectation is put on people.
That is, I think you're absolutely right. So it's both sides of that and how to deal with it. Right, so can you just take it back up to, there was some, I will come back to that one. What is the point of, this is Sean Simo Simpson, what is the point of clubs owning a rider on contract but never rides for the club? Surely pointless having a contract. I presume this is talking about the squad situation.
If you sign a rider and you loan him, you get a loan.
Well, I think he's talking about the squad system as much, and I think the way that would work is you sign a contract with guaranteed minimum number of rides.
That's the only way I think you would work it.
I would
need to do our league table, should we?
We do, Duncan Pemberton says I would see if Chris Morton could do it. Team manager job.
Chris Morton's done it before, hasn't he? He was team manager at Bellevue for
so that might not be a bad call, and he's got experience at that. Yeah. You can go up again now.
I have done.
Right, okay. Eastbourne management have managed to bring a lot more spectators through the turnstile this season and kept the numbers up all season, which is probably credit to the riders. And just to say, Eastbourne versus Redcar was true at other clubs.
I've been told that Eastbourne's crowds are this season. Leicester's crowds have been the season, but they've had a fantastic season. I mean, they were probably the noisiest away fans at Perry Bar this season. It was a great atmosphere.
It was a great atmosphere, and they were respectful at the same time. It wasn't, you know, so much as I'd like to say, I can't. I think I have to say at Birmingham this year, possibly to a lesser degree, but then we haven't had the same amount of success. It's struggle all the time. Yeah. I think the crowds haven't gone down.
No, the crowds have been okay, I think.
Even some of the times that we thought, there's going to be a bad crowd. And we've seen a good influx of youngsters coming in.
It was always going to be a difficult season for Birmingham, moving up into the Championship.
I see hope for next season being much better, because we've obviously got assets now. We'll be starting earlier.
Yep.
Instead of right at the sort of dog end of the close season. So I think next year is the one to judge. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Right, I suppose we better have a look at this then, haven't we?
Yeah, can you hang on for just 2 seconds? Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Are you having trouble, are you?
No, I'm just not prepared. Sorry.
Surprise, surprise. He's been here all day, though.
No, yeah. Enough of these.
Do you think any team will try and fit in Drew Kemp in the championship? Are we talking about President? What's his average? I haven't. All I can tell you is I'd take him.
He's a good rider.
He's a good rider,
he's
yeah.
such a good, especially at National League level.
Yeah.
I mean, it's maybe not. Obviously, it's early for him in the Championship.
And I think Duncan Patton's being a bit cheek here. And as Rowe, he would be a good signing. I'm going to be looking forward to the end of the season. He'll come back next year, and the list will be forgotten. Yeah. Is my hope.
He'd be a good signing for Birmingham, but I suppose you wouldn't be allowed in the stadium, then, would you? So,
that's got a chance.
Whenever you want.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that, and we're going to try and get as many of your comments in as we possibly can. But as ever, time just gets away from us. But we want to have a look at our league table. For those of you, there might be some new listeners tonight, of course, because of the switch in nights. Yep. So it needs to be bigger than that, I'm afraid.
Oh, I can't get it.
Yeah, so we do the prediction every week. We pick a league and we predict the scores and then collate the information, and we have a league table of who's winning and who isn't. I can't read that, can you?
Well,
you've got the.
Fortunately, I've got the master copy on my screen. So
there you go.
So Ben Clifton still leading on 43 points, with Webby now on 14 second.
Is he still in second?
Yep. Paul PVL Racing 39, Simon Corbett 39, Sean Simpson 37, Jeff Daniels, Alan Atherton, me, Chris Vincent all on 37, Duncan Pemberton 5, Jay on 32. Yeah. Should we go any further than that? Or
Tomo
had a good week last week. I think he was the best scorer last week. So he's
so
he's now breathing down GA's exhaust pipe as well. So
I'd hardly call it an exhaust pipe.
The silencer.
Yeah, keep him more and more silent each week. Wow.
So, but no, it's still very close to the top, and
so this week we're doing ain't quite a full week of National League because of the change in days. But let's go.
We have 4 matches in the National League this week, and the first one is Leicester against Kent.
Leicester.
Put your predictions up on the chat as well, so
yes,
we'll collate them.
So Webby,
sorry,
I'm not going to give you any clues.
Okay, Leicester by 8.
Leicester by 8. I'm going to say Leicester by.
No wonder you're 12. I'm going to go Leicester by 6. Okay, the next one is Stoke against the Isle of Wight.
That's hot.
Stoke have been a bit disappointed, I think.
Yeah, we thought they was going to have a better season, didn't we? What do we know?
Yeah, just
I'm 11th in the league, so what do I know? Yeah. I'm going to say Stoke by 4.
I've gone Isle of Wight by 10.
Where? Shall I get my coat?
Yeah.
I'm in good company.
Okay, match number 3, Mildenhall against Bellevue. So
that's dead.
I've gone Bellevue by 10.
And Chris, Mildenhall versus Bellevue. To be fair to Chris, he is trying to write all the things and put them on us.
Yeah, his spelling's not the best, to be fair. 10.
Yeah, I'm going to say Bellevue by 6.
Yeah, Mildenhall haven't had the best of seasons, have they? Especially haven't had a good season.
And the last one?
Last one is the return match of that one, Bellevue against Mildenhall. I know there's a challenge match at Kent, but obviously as it's league, we'll just focus on the league.
It's down to you, Webby.
Yep.
I'm going to go Bellevue.
I've gone Bellevue by 16. So there's the 4.
The comeback starts here.
Yeah.
The comeback starts here.
Next week the league table will show that Jay's dropped even further off the pace.
I started off, my first week was so good, I started off in top place, and you was all going, what's that? That's a ridiculous scoreline. Well, not to worry. So yeah, we'll probably read out a few of your predictions as we go along, and also any more comments that we have. I'll go back to the championship meeting at Sheffield. Good place to have the meeting, do you think?
Well, Sheffield's a fantastic track, isn't it?
I think
they haven't had the best of seasons. It's fair to say as well that the move to Sundays by all accounts hasn't really captured the imagination, because the crowds haven't been fantastic from what I hear at Sheffield. But big meeting like that, strong lineup, as we say.
I think it'll be a good.
I think it should be a really good crowd. Hopefully the weather will be good as well, because if the weather's good, that'll maybe tempt more people down. As for a prediction, you've gone for? Who did you go for?
Danny King.
You go for Danny King. I'm going to go for Sam Masters.
Sam Masters. Should we make this part of our league?
Are we going to do individuals?
Get an extra point if you've got the winner right.
Well, we can do.
Shall we do that?
Yeah.
So okay. Yeah. So put your
Right.
predictions for who you think's going to win that, and if you
It means I've got to do a bit of typing. That's the only thing.
I know, that's why I said it. Yeah. I know. It doesn't do a lot there, to be fair. Craig Smith says, I'd like to give Jack Smith as an example. He burst onto the scene with backing from his dad. Ride for the Colts and Bellevue. Unfortunately, the nature of the sport meant he wasn't given time to develop, now only riding National League. Actually asked on Sunday, I presume, and then I need to see more, because it's Craig Smith, I always need to see more. Actually asked on social media for funding to help him with equipment. Surprised me, as you would have thought his dad was able to fund his career to a degree. Riders seem to be quitting for financial reasons, it seems. I mean, that's always been the case, that financial reasons has been. It's not the most expensive motorsport to fund, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, if you've got it, you've got it. If you haven't, you haven't. I'm sorry to hear that.
Chris Van Strand, a couple of years, I think 3 or 4 years ago, did make the suggestion about standardising equipment in the league, try and cut down the spiralling costs. Which
every time somebody's come out with a way of doing that, like the Italian motors, whose name has disappeared out of my head. Was it not GM? You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about,
somebody will put it up on the screen, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Which looked like a way of possibly doing a standardisation. So they didn't need.
Have we got a championship riders final prediction from Webber? I don't think we have.
Oh no, yeah.
Sam Masters.
Okay.
Same as me then. So.
And Sam is Tomo.
Yep. Okay. So
we'll probably do one for Cardiff as well when that comes around.
It feels very much like the riders complain about the spiralling costs, but they're probably the biggest culprits in making the costs spiral.
Yeah.
As they search for more and more speed, as why wouldn't you? You want to win your races. So yeah. Bellevue home win by 18 points. That's against Cradley. No love lost between Cradley and Bellevue, is there?
No.
Mind you, is there? I mean, we could say that about almost any team, and Cradley sometimes, I think.
There's a lot
Dave Twine has said Adam Ellis, and do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. I think he has got the. I mean, it may be a bit too soon after his collarbone break, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I think if this meeting had been a couple of months ago, I would have really fancied him to win it. But,
I think he's got he's got as good a chance as any. I'm not sure how he goes at Sheffield. Whether it's his sort of track, I'm not entirely sure.
We should mention the Grand Prix as well, because we've got a Grand Prix coming up on.
We have, yes.
In Tetero in Germany.
Tetero or Tetero?
Tetero, whatever you want to call it.
It's in Germany anyway.
Yep.
Who's the wild card?
Who is the wild card? I think someone will tell me. I haven't seen it.
It's not Martin Smolinski, is it, by any chance?
No, I don't think it's Martin Smolinski. I'll find out.
Yeah,
I should know this really, shouldn't I?
I mean, it's very, very, very interesting at the top of the GP at the moment. I think there's 5 or 6 riders that have a realistic chance of winning at the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to Scott Nichols on Wednesday, just name dropping. And
you got an interview for us, didn't you?
I got an interview for Rerun. No, I mean, I did ask him, and he said it could go any way. It would be such a difficult one to call, because there's 5 or 6 riders who are realistic, and even some of the riders that are just below them. If they put a run together, it's not too late for them to.
3 or 4 weeks ago, you would have said, "Well, it's Bartok Smarslik, isn't it?" But it feels a little bit. Is it gone off the boil?
I just think Leon Madsen.
I know you've said
he's
this
consistent,
before.
And he knows how to win championships. Of course, he's won the European one, hasn't he? So
yeah. I'm not going to give a prediction for that one, although I could say, well, she'll make a prediction for that and see if we can use that. But that's far too much typing for you to do. So we'll give you a.
Well, we will do it for Cardiff.
Yeah, that's a good Cardiff. We'll do it for Cardiff. Yeah,
so.
yeah. GTR engines, that was it. Thank you, Sean Simo Simpson. Those were the ones. And I think they went back to the drawing board with them, didn't they? Last I've heard. And it is Martin Smolinski, the one.
It is Martin Smolinski, yeah.
So there you go.
Wonder if they'll be interviewing him if they can find the time. So. Sorry, Martin.
If Fast Fred wins, he will be world champion. You heard it here first. He's certainly one of the riders in with a shout.
Well, it was a really bruising win for him last time in Melilla, wasn't it? So,
yeah, well, that was. Those of you who haven't seen the pictures of what happened,
he's only 11 points off the top spot at the moment, and there's 4 rounds to go. It's not out of the question.
No, it absolutely isn't.
I think you'd probably say up to about. I mean, Magic Janowski's on 51 points in 7th. He's possibly now maybe just slightly out of it. So, but
he's not out of it as far as getting a medal, though, is he?
No, not at all. And of course, there's top 8 as well. So, although I would imagine he'll, mind you, then again, it's going to be difficult if he doesn't get in the top 8 because there's a lot of Polish riders out there who might fancy their chances of getting a wild card.
And there's also Ty Waffenden's going to need a wild card.
You'll get one,
of course he will. But which makes the available wild cards even less. Which was sort of my point. Mm-hmm. Danny King says Sean Simo Simpson.
Sean Simo Simpson says Danny King.
That's what I said.
You said it the other way around.
Danny King says Sean Simo Simpson.
It's the same thing. I'm just working with amateurs. What can I say? Well, we seem to have come to the end of our comments, and we've also come to the end of our show, so that's brilliant. That's good timing. I wish I could say that we'd designed it that way. Good luck to everybody this coming week. Good luck to everybody at the championship. We didn't do our T-shirt this week. Was that by design?
Oh, we're going to do it next week. We'll do it every 2 weeks.
I will hopefully be making my way down to Sheffield on Sunday, so if anybody wants to come up and
up to Sheffield,
say hi.
So I'm just being pedantic.
You don't know where I'm coming from. I might be on my way to Berwick on Saturday.
What's at Berwick there?
Not a lot.
Birmingham were there last week, so if you...
Yeah, we should talk about the disastrous tour. I'm glad we never had the chance.
Yeah, not Berrington Lock, I'm showing my age now, aren't I?
Wow.
Sheffield Park. So.
Wow. Well, there you go. Yeah, so, if you want to, just come and say if you're there, that you enjoy the show or not.
Mm-hmm.
No, just say you've enjoyed the show.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Even if you lie, we don't mind.
And on that note, have a good week, everybody. Back to our normal time next week. See you next Tuesday, and have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Speedway Tavern. Speedway Tavern. Speedway Tavern.
Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. What's the news today? Have a drink, have your say. All opinions here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay.